Alright guys, today I want to show you a game between Fabiano Caruana and Alexander Donchenko from Tatal Steel 2021. d4, d5, c4, c6. So this is Slav defense, knight d3, knight c6, and Alex plays e3. So another popular line here is knight to c3, dc, a4, bishop a5 and knight e5. So this position was in Fabiano against Dean Liren in Yekaterinburg candidates. So in our position, Fabi plays bishop f5, knight to c3, e6, knight h4. So now white goes for two bishops. Knight to e4, forcing white to play f3, which weakens the king side. Knight g6, bishop to d2, bishop e7, knight takes, pawn takes, queen c2, knight b to d7. Black's position is extremely solid. White castles, and Fabi plays a6. So this actually is a novelty, but very logical and reasonable. So black will play b5, and they need pawn which will support this b5 move. At candidates in Yekaterinburg, knight to b6 secured, c5, and knight b to d7 back. And Giri played white, and he had big advantage, but Fabi managed to draw the game. So in this position, Alex plays g4. Another option was to play c5, but after b6, so takes, and knight a4 and queen a7, black inevitably will play c5, and they will open up this position and have they will be marginally better. So the idea of this move is to play g5 at some point and use lack of space by black. So Fabi takes on c4, bishop takes, b5, bishop e2, and c5. So in this position there was a very nice option for white to sacrifice a piece they could have taken here. Takes, g6, knight h5, queen takes here, and queen takes on e6. So this position is considered to be equal, but well, for me, I think I would take white here, because this pawn, if these pawns storm the king, they will have a lot of threats. So but he didn't want to give the piece, so he played bishop to e2. Fabi played c5, so this is a standard maneuver, and they want to exchange these pawns and open up the game against the king. d5, this is a pawn sacrifice by white. Fabi took with the knight, knight takes, and f4. So in this position, both players want to keep the initiative, and with this pawn sacrifice, white first started offense on the black's king. However, engine prefers king to b1 first, because the black will form initiative on the c file, and so there is a lot of tactics connected with opening up the c file. So knight b1 is an important move. So in this position, Fabi played b4, e4, provoking this exchange, so white can move queen up. But Fabi decided not to open up the center and play d4. So both players have a lot of pawns against the opponent's king, e5. So Engine doesn't like this move a lot because white is playing quite slowly. Again, Engine suggests prophylaxis with king to b1, knight to b6, and h4. So this Engine thinks that this e4 e5 advance doesn't give too much for white, so they want to, for white it's more perspective to try to open up the h file. So in e5 Fabi played knight to b6, very logical. He wants to free the queen and play knight to queen to d5, and Engine suggests queen to e4, try to exchange the queens. But white is pawn down, so exchanging is not actually what you want to do. So in this position, Donchenko played e6. Fabi plays queen to d5, attacking this a2 pawn. That's important because a lot of threats will be at the same time against the king. E takes f, check. So here, if black takes this pawn with the king, then white will play something like bishop to d3 and threatening the g6 square with check. So this is not the best move, and Fabi played correctly. I would also play king to f8 because this pawn really protects the king from all the checks and all the threats. So Donchenko played h4. Engine doesn't like this move. Engine prefers b3, like creating some blockade on the light squares, but Donchenko didn't play it. Fabi took on a2, queen g6, and just pay attention how so many pieces around the black's king, but with this bishop here and rook on a8, so you cannot actually threaten exactly the king. So Fabi plays b3, protecting the knight on b6. If white takes the knight, then queen a1 mate. After b3, Donchenko plays bishop to e1, preparing to run away from check, maybe with the king. c4, preparing c3, rook takes d4, knight a4. So this position already winning for black. They managed to break through on the queen side, and queen and knight, they form very strong cooperation, and also b3 pawn makes a lot of damage. Queen b1, protecting b2, bishop a3, very nice move. You could miss it because in order to prove that this move wins, you have to see a quite big combination after it. So if white takes here, then b2, king to c2, then queen to b3, here, check, here, and black takes the rook, winning. So he has to see this. So after queen a3, Donchenko took the queen on a2, which is the first line. Pawn takes queen, king to c2. Now if black queens, then white will play bishop to b4 and take the queen, because bishop to b4 is check. So Fabi saw it. He played rook to b8, protecting the b4. Desperation move, rook to d8. Fabi took the rook. Pawn takes queen again, with the same idea. If black queens, then bishop to b4 discovery and taking the queen. So Fabi plays c3, doesn't allow this check. Bishop to g3, so the ancient says the black is totally winning with -10. King to b3 and knight to c5. So in case white takes this pawn on c3, then black will play knight to e3, check, and the rook is protected. So here white resigned. Alright, thank you.